Hey everybody, Doug A798 here. Hey everybody, Doug A798 here. Favorites. This is my favorites movie list. This list was hard to do. This video is long overdue, but I had to do a lot of narrowing down, so I had to separate the movies I like by category. This list right here will be movies I watch all the time. Of course, we're gonna start off with the action movies. I love action. I love action movies. I love mutants, aliens, martial arts, and superheroes and monsters and that stuff. And that's what you're gonna be seeing in this list. Right here. Like I said, I'm gonna be splitting the lists up into categories because there were so many movies, but I had to narrow it down to these 20-something movies. And with that being said, the very first movie I gotta start off with is, you know it, Dragon Ball Evolution. Man, you don't know how awesome this was. Ever since they announced in 2002 that Fox acquired the Dragon Ball license, I was pumped and I was ready for a Dragon Ball film. That was my dream. And as soon as the show was over and got stale, I was immediately ready for this. And after several fake rumors, fake trailers, finally Fox announced that the real movie was finally getting made. And in 2008, it was awesome again. It was first it was disappointing, then it got awesome again. It was disappointing because they announced it was going to be a Dragon Ball film and not a Dragon Ball Z movie, which is what I was waiting for. But then, man, when I saw the leak shots, I was like, okay, this still was good enough to see in theaters. And when I saw this in '09, man, blew me out of water. This was one of the best movies, best B movies I've ever seen, man. And I still watch it to this day, and it gets better and better every time I watch it. Man, I hate the fact that this never has sequels, because this was one of the best things I had ever seen. Okay, that was Dragon Ball. Now, the next, of course, is the two Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies. The first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie, which I saw in 1996. This movie right here was awesome. After seeing the cartoon and playing with the action figures, you don't know how awesome it was seeing the Turtles come to life in this live action adventure. Seeing the Turtles, April O'Neil, Casey Jones, Shredder. This film was awesome, and this film was dark and violent for a family-friendly action film, and this film was just awesome. And I watched this all the time. Then you got the sequel, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the Ooze. I love this movie. This movie introduced me to one of my favorite rappers, Vanilla Ice, and it was larger in scope than the first one. Tokka and Rahzar and Super Shredder were awesome, and I love this memorable, catchy Vanilla Ice appearance with the "Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go." The next movie I gotta watch is the Double Dragon movie. Okay, I think this movie is criminally underrated. I saw this movie in the late 90s. I was a huge fan of the cartoon and several of the video games for it. And this right here, I watched this, and this right here was a pretty badass adaptation of Double Dragon. Finally got to track this DVD down in 2010. I love the action, the stunt work. I think Mark Dacascos and Billy Wolf and Scott Wolf are awesome as Jimmy and Billy Lee, respectively. Robert Patrick portrays an awesome villain in Kogashuko. Alyssa Milano was awesome as Marion, and of course Niels Allen Stewart was awesome as Bolo Bobo, cool B-movie actor. And of course, the woman playing Flash was cool, and Sean Mallory Asher, Hawk, the lead Mohawk guy you see talking to Billy, Jimmy, and Lee. They were awesome. The cast was awesome fighting and stunt work. Love the cool background fits. Really awesome B movie, and way better than it was given credit for. And finally, this movie was just downright hilarious. I laugh every time I watch this movie. The next two films are Mortal Kombat 1995, and the sequel, Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Okay, Mortal Kombat 1995, man, you don't know how awesome this was. I was a huge fan of the Mortal Kombat games, and to finally see Mortal Kombat come to life in a live action form. Liu Kang, Johnny Cage, Sonya, Raiden, Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Shang Tsung, and Kano and Reptile in one movie. This movie was badass. Pretty good story. Pretty good story for a Mortal Kombat game, for a video game based movie. Awesome stunt work and some of the best stunt work in fighting possible. This probably had the best fighting possible because unlike other films where they get just actors and teach them how to fight or just normal stuntmen, this film mostly got stuntmen. I think the only actors in this film were the guy who played Johnny Cage, the woman who played Sonya, and Lambert who played Raiden. Everybody in this film were fighters, so you got some realistic, intense, badass martial arts fighting. The special effects were cool. It was just awesome for a Mortal Kombat fan back in the day. And I still think it's good today. I think you can do even better today. But they just keep screwing it up. I hope the reboot is good if they ever get around to doing it. Alright, now its sequel, Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Looking back, I love this film when it came out in 1997, and I still do today. Looking back and learning how film works, this film is kind of bad. The story, in my opinion, is good, despite what people say. The acting and cast is pretty good, despite the cast being different this time around. The cast is pretty good. The only problem I have, the only two problems I have with this film is, first of all, the budget. The film, it tries to be larger in scope than the first one, which I like. That's one of the things I love about this movie. But you can obviously tell they didn't have the budget because they reuse a lot of shots, and I feel that's terrible filmmaking. That's terrible filmmaking. But this film was awesome. I love the background sets. I love once again the martial arts and stunt fighting is cool. I love the costumes. They look like Mortal Kombat 3, and I love the inclusion of several more characters. This film wanted to appeal to video game goers, and I appreciate that. Most films stay far away from the source material. I greatly appreciate the fact that this actually stayed close to the source material. This is still one of my all-time favorite movies, and as a child, Shao Kahn, even with the ridiculous rubber mask, scared the living daylights out of me. Brian Thompson was awesome as Shao Kahn. He made up for his lack of size with ruthlessness, intensity, and ferocity, man. James Remar was a good replacement for Lambert as Raiden. He was more serious, and he got to do more in this film because he became mortal. I hate that Johnny Cage had to be killed off so soon. I didn't mind him being killed off because if you know the backstory of the games, he does die in 2 and comes back in 4. But I hate the fact that he had to be killed off so fast in the film. Even though if you look at the story of the first one, it makes sense. Johnny Cage rushes into things without to prove he's not a fake, without addressing the situation, and he did that. He got killed by Shao Kahn. So, yeah, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, awesome film. Mataro looked cool. The costumes were even better, in my opinion, than the first one. The first one had awesome costumes, and the stunt work and fighting was awesome. And as much as I hated Johnny Cage getting killed off, at least his talented, Jax, the other comedy relief of Mortal Kombat, got to take his place. Lynn Red Williams was awesome as Jax. I wish he could have returned, but he doesn't act anymore. Okay, next film is Masters of the Universe, man. Love He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Been a huge fan of He-Man since the 2002 cartoon, and when I heard that there was a live action movie, I immediately tried to find this movie, was never able to find it until I think it was either 2009. I finally found this movie. I first saw it in 2000, I think 2008 on YouTube, but I finally got to find this movie in 2009 on DVD, and man, did I like it. Despite this was a B movie. First off, to be even doing a talking about a Masters of the Universe movie in the 80s immediately earns my respect, because it would have been hard, and it was hard, to get all the cool characters, all the stuff you saw in the cartoons in a live action film. But I thought this film on its own was a pretty damn good adaptation of He-Man. I think you can do even better today with the special effects. You can have more characters like Stratos, Ram Man, Triclops, Trapjaw, the Snake Man, Zodak, so many other characters. But this one right here, I love the live action incarnations of Dolph Lundgren as He-Man, Frank Langelica as Skeletor, the Henchmen, Karg, Sauron, Beastman, and my favorite Blade were awesome. Evil Lyn was pretty cool too. Man-at-Arms and Teela were cool. Wildor would have preferred Orko, but they couldn't get the CGI to play Orko, so they just got a midget and dressed him up, dressed him up in makeup and stuff. And stunt work and fighting were cool. The special effects were awesome for a B movie in the 80s, and them leaving Eternia and coming to Earth, which is what a lot of people didn't like. I actually thought that was pretty cool. They didn't harm the film at all. The film still maintained its big budget, epic feel on Earth. This film, in my opinion, is way better than it was given credit for when it was released. It has a cult following today, but this film was hated and blast at the time it was out, because it was similar to other stuff like Star Wars. What wasn't similar to Star Wars? That was like the greatest sci-fi franchise of all time. Alright. The next two films on this list I don't actually own. I've seen them on the computer. The first one is the Toxic Avenger franchise. Man, I love this franchise. This franchise right here is an action superhero horror franchise. It's an action film because it features the film features the main character, the Toxic Avenger himself, doing all kinds of stunts and fight scenes. It's a horror film because if you're familiar with the Toxic Avenger films, the Toxic Avenger character, Toxie, he kills criminals and people who do bad things in gory fashions. I was on the computer. I was on Hulu. Of course, I was on Hulu watching my usual cartoons, and I see a recommendation for a cartoon called The Toxic Crusaders, which looks just like Teenage Mutant Turtles and X-Men. And I clicked on it, and this cartoon was awesome. And in preparing for a review for this cartoon, I discovered that this cartoon was based on The Toxic Crusaders was based on an ultra-violent independent B movie series called the Toxic Avenger series. The first two Toxic Avenger films, in my opinion, are fucking awesome. The first one introduces us to Melvin, the janitor at the Tromaville gym. He gets pushed around by jocks. On one day, the jocks play a horrible prank on him. By one of the women, Julie, pretends to want to do it with him, but instead she has him dress up as a tutu and meet a pink tutu, dress him up in a pink tutu and meet him in the room. When he comes in there, it's all dark. When he turns it on, he's hugging what looks like some kind of cow or something. Then when lights turn on, everybody is laughing at him. Even wearing the pink tutu, he tries to escape, but he can't get away. He ends up tripping and falling into a blat of toxic waste. And he becomes a hideously deformed mutant of superhuman size and strength, which is what they keep saying in the movies and cartoons. And he has these things called traumatomes, which is similar to Spider-Man's Spidey sense, where he can immediately sense out evil, and he goes and punishes criminals. That's the first one. In this film, he kills the mayor. In the second, he kills the mayor he kills the corrupt mayor of New Jersey, and then of course, and becomes the hero of New Jersey. In the second film continues where the first one left off. He now has to deal with a group called the Apocalypse Gang, who send him on a trip to Japan and tear up and take over New Jersey while he's in Japan fighting crime and stuff. fighting crime and looking for his father. Toxic Avenger 3 has the remaining members of Apocalypse recruiting Toxie into their group, and Toxie becomes the head of Apocalypse. Becomes the head of Apocalypse in Toxic Avenger 4, Toxic Avenger 3 and 4. Like I said, that's 3 and 4, which I didn't think were good, but I still enjoy. 4 involves Toxie. It involves Toxie facing off with a group of people called the Diaper Mafia and an evil doppelganger of himself. So yeah, that's the entire Toxic Avenger series. There's a remake coming up. I'll talk about that in another video. The next series is another, just like Dragon Ball Evolution, another Japanese series, another Japanese manga series is Guyver 1 and Guyver 2. Both of these, just like Dragon Ball Evolution, are based on Japanese mangas and animes. Guyver 1, I got into Guyver in 2008. I saw the first Guyver movie in 2009, and it was awesome. A lot of people don't like it, of course, because the acting was bad. Despite the acting being not the best, I thought the plot, story, action sequences, and the makeup effects were awesome. Makeup effects and costumes were awesome, and the film reminded me of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is one reason I love it. It reminds me more of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers than Guyver. Guyver's an ultra-violent manga series. The second one, which is a lot of people love, the straight-to-video Guyver 2, which was straight-to-video. The first one was released theatrically. I saw this one just recently, last year, and this film right here was awesome and even bigger and badder than the last one. It goes into a whole new direction, takes the story in a whole new direction, while still continuing from the last one. This one has a new cast, but same characters, and this one has more intense and gorier fight scenes, just like the anime. The fight scenes are reminiscent of the anime and Tim Burton's Batman. Batman. There's lots of blood, gore, and violence, and this film was just awesome. This film right here was just awesome. Once again, just like the last one, this one had even more fighting, more action, more stunt work, and even a cool redesigned Guyver suit. In the first one, the Guyver had a red and red and I think grayish silver type suit. In the new one, he has a blue suit, just like the manga and anime. A blue suit, and it was awesome. Cool seeing the Guyver, just like the Turtles and the Toxic Avenger, come to life. Alright, the next film on my list, it's here somewhere. The next film on my list is the 1979 cult film, The Warriors. Okay, I usually don't like gang films. I was a huge fan of James Remar, who portrayed Raiden in Mortal Kombat Annihilation. And this film right here was one of the films he was most known for. So I checked this film out. Like I said, I usually don't like gang films unless the gangs are the bad guys or an obstacle for the heroes to overcome. But this film right here, I love this film right here because not only did this film have memorable characters and memorable dialogue, this film had awesome over the top realistic stunt work and fight scenes. In most gang movies you won't see much action. You'll see a bunch of gunfights, but you won't see much hand-to-hand and weapons fighting. And this film right here was awesome. And I love this over-the-top comic book storyline. This film is a dystopian futures where gangs rule the streets of New York. One of the gangs, of course, one of the gang members at a huge meeting shoots the leader, Cyrus, and the Warriors are framed for it, and now have to make it all the way back to Coney and get through all the gangs. It's just an awesome, badass, heroic movie. Okay, what's next on this list? Oh yes. Hold on. The next movies on this list are the Star Wars movies. Okay, the first one, of course, I saw the first Star Wars movie in 1997 when it was re-released to theaters, and this film right here was awesome. I love the story. I love the special effects, and the characters, and everything, and one of the best sci-fi films of all time. And this spaceship, not only were the gunfights, the stunt work, and the lightsaber battles were good. The CGI spaceship battles were awesome. You know how awesome that was, seeing that stuff for the first time. Then, of course, it gets even better in the next film I watched, which was Empire Strikes Back, where the main character from the first one, Luke Skywalker, trains to become a Jedi. I thought Luke Skywalker accidentally killed Vader in the starship battle at the end, but no, they both of them, of course, Vader surviving, and this one, Luke Skywalker now becomes a swords fighter, a lightsaber fighter, like Obi-Wan from the first one. And it was cool him learning Darth Vader's his father, his training, and the fight scene with Darth Vader, where Darth Vader cut off his arm. Man, it was just awesome. Then finally, the movie comes together in the last one, where the Rebel Force had their final confrontation with the Death Star, with the Rebel Alliance, with Vader's forces. They have their final confrontation, and Luke Skywalker, of course, has his final confrontation with his father, Darth Vader, and he redeems his father, Darth Vader. You know how awesome it was seeing Darth Vader when Darth Sidious is electrocuting Luke Skywalker, to see Darth Vader surprisingly save his own son and throw him down the pit, whatever that was, and save Luke Skywalker, and then die and be redeemed. That right there was awesome. It was also cool in the beginning seeing Luke Skywalker save Han Solo, who they left it as a cliffhanger in the last film. I thought that was ballsy, leaving Han Solo in the hands of Jabba in the last film and having them rescue him in this film. Yeah. Yeah, the Star Wars series is awesome. Next is the prequel series. Hold on. The next is the prequel Star Wars series. Okay, the first one was Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. I love this movie, despite what people say. I think it's the weakest Star Wars in the series, because apart from the main plot, I really don't understand this film too well. But I thought some of the CGI was awesome. The pod races were awesome. The seeing younger versions of Obi-Wan, seeing Qui-Gon Jinn, Darth Maul, all that was awesome. And of course, the double lightsaber fight at the end was awesome. I thought this was an awesome film. It was cool seeing the original characters of the Star Wars, and seeing this was still, in my opinion, a good movie, despite not understanding the plot very well. The only thing I don't like is Jar Jar Binks. He doesn't add anything to the story, well, other than fighting some droids. But he distracts from the story. Like I said, I really don't even understand this movie once, but it's awesome. This movie right here, Attack of the Clones. I love this movie right here. This is, in my opinion, probably this and its sequel are the best of the Star Wars prequel trilogy. Christian Hayden, he wasn't the best actor, but he was a badass hero. He was a badass hero as Anakin Skywalker, and I love the humorous chemistry and relationship between Christian Hayden and Ewan Gregor as Obi-Wan. Mace Windu, he was awesome too. And the huge Clone War fight at the end was awesome. Seeing all the Jedis fight. Jango Fett, Boba Fett's father, he was cool. Just a badass movie. And Count Dooku was an awesome bad guy. Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith. I love Attack of the Clones so much that in this film, my God, it was just awesome, man. The final confrontation between Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan, Anakin Skywalker finally becoming Darth Vader. I was emotionally connected with that because Anakin Skywalker was so badass in the early parts of this film and in the last one as a hero. I hated the fact he had to become a bad guy. But man, was it done well. Done well. And apart from that minor plot hole which Man of Christ pointed out about Anakin saying that he was seduced to the dark side. Where in this one he appears to be the blackmailed or duped into joining the dark side, than actually seduced. But it was still done well, and this film came full circle. Everything in this film was awesome. Seeing the Chewbacca's people, the clone troopers. I was wondering how they would turn evil, them turning on the Jedis, even though I knew it was happening, but the way it happened, it was just so awesome. Yeah. The next film it's here somewhere. Next film is the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, Predator. This film right here, in my opinion, is one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's best films. Not only one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's best films, alongside Terminator. This film right here, in my opinion, is the best in the entire Predators and Alien franchise. And that entire franchise, this in my opinion, was the best film. It's had lots of cool actors like Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers, Jesse the Body, professional wrestler Jesse the Body Ventura, and so many more. I keep forgetting the other actor's name, and lots of memorable characters. And the action sequences and stunt work was awesome. And the Predator, the makeup effects on the Predator were badass, and the CGI was pretty badass in this film too. One of those badass films of all time. Next film, I don't own these. I don't own actual copies of these films. The first one is Judge Dredd, 1995, starring Sylvester Stallone. This, in my opinion, despite taking several liberties with the Judge Dredd comic book series, I still thought this was a pretty good 90s adaptation of Judge Dredd. Sylvester Stallone, he looks just like Judge Dredd. If you look at the original comic book adaptation of Judge Dredd, Stallone matches Judge Dredd's look personally. The body, the look, the helmet, everything. And of course, despite taking some liberties with it, I thought this film was a pretty good action film. The stunt work and stuff were awesome. I love the cool background sets, which looks like Star Wars and Blade Runner. And of course, I love the story. But the story and the cast and stuff was pretty good. Well, except for Rob Schneider, who was mostly comic relief. He made me laugh, but he probably ruins anything good about the film, Rob Schneider. Next one is 2011 Judge Dredd. Now I own this one. I have this downloaded to my computer. This film right here is awesome, man. Judge Dredd 2011. This film is awesome. Awesome reboot of the original Judge Dredd. This one goes closer to the source material. Carl Urban is a good replacement for Judge Dredd, even though he lacks the muscular look Stallone had. I love the updated modern look of the city. Action sequences were pretty good, and this was a pretty good origin story. One of the many times a reboot is actually good. In my opinion, reboots are usually never good. The next franchise, of course, is my uncle owns the third one, but the Matrix franchise. I love each of these films. Really don't understand them that much, but these films are some of the best sci-fi action films. These are some of the best sci-fi action films ever. Awesome stunt work and fighting. Awesome special effects. I love the way they dodge bullets, Neo running up the wall and stuff. Costume design, awesome cast, and just one of the most groundbreaking films ever. This film was awesome to me because I dream of stuff like Street Fighters movies and Dragon Ball Z movies. You were seeing all that in these films right here. I like all three, even Matrix Revolution. It sucked Neo had to die, but that was an awesome finale. That was an awesome finale to an awesome series. Next is the X-Men series. The X-Men series. X-Men 3 is inside this case right here, which is X-Men 1. I love the X-Men movie series. Well, at least the first three in Origins. I thought the I thought the first three X-Men movies were good for the time they released. I think you can do much better now. I was a huge fan of the X-Men cartoon, the X-Men animated series, and seeing that come to life on the screen, was awesome. Seeing all the stuff I saw in the cartoon come to life. Optic Blast, Wolverine's claws, and hair, Magneto's helmet, Mystique being blue, Sabretooth, the real life Sabretooth, Toad, all that was awesome. Then in 2 gets even better. We get more in depth with Wolverine. We get to see Lady Deathstrike. Nightcrawler. Then in 3, which I like, the Juggernaut, man. The Juggernaut, Pyro, and several other mutants and all the cool stunt work, special effects, and fighting you can see. X-Men Origins, which my uncle owns a copy of that downstairs. X-Men Origins, I love that film too, despite the liberties it took with the comics. I love the fighting and stunt work. It's just like Mad Max and Rambo with claws. Of course, if you've seen my X-Men movie reviews, you know I can't stand First Class and the new Wolverine, the most recent Wolverine movies. I thought they were okay, but they were kind of crap. The next movie series, of course, is the Fantastic Four movie series, man. The Fantastic Four movie series. I don't own the very first one. The first one was a B movie in 1994. Of course, despite the low budget, I loved that movie was awesome. It was like a combination of the Fantastic Four, the TMNT movies, and the Toxic Avengers. It was like a live-action adaptation of the cartoons. The Fantastic Four characters actually looked like the cartoons and actually followed the source material a little bit. I thought the first Fantastic Four 2005. I love this movie. I have even more appreciation for it now than I did when it was out. I loved this movie when it came out, but I was disappointed that it was not based on the original comics by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee and that ran from the 60s to the 80s. This was more closer to the Ultimate Fantastic Four and the John Byrne's Fantastic Four, which is why I like it now. But I hated that it wasn't based on the original Fantastic Four. But this film right here was awesome. The story, the storyline, the stunt work and action, and the special effects, and this movie was downright funny. The second one, Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, in my opinion, kind of sucked, but it was still an awesome summer blockbuster superhero flick. The story is hit and miss. It's good, but when you compare it to the comic book, it falls flat. But the action sequences, the special effects, and the stunt work in the cast were great. I also love how in this film they tried to make it more like the Fantastic Four film. Dr. Doom looks like he originally looked in the original comics. The human, Chris Evans grew his hair out to resemble the Human Torch. He had to cut it in the first film because the effects couldn't pass his hair. They couldn't CGI his hair up when he dubbed Flame on. And of course, Dr. Doom was full-powered Doom, and he did steal the powers of the Silver Surfer just like he did in the comic books. And it was cool seeing the Silver Surfer come to life. A lot of people say he was the best thing about this film, so much they're still trying to do a Silver Surfer spin-off movie. The next film, of course, it's here somewhere. Where is it? Oh, found it. Next film is the 1994 Street Fighter movie starring Jean-Claude Van Damme and Raul Julia. Okay, I knew there was a Mortal Kombat movie. I knew there was a Double Dragon movie. I knew there was a Street Fighter animated movie and a cartoon series. I had no idea there was a Street Fighter movie. I saw this 4 years after it released in 1998 on the USA Channel or the Sci-Fi Channel. One of these, I was just flipping channels, and I immediately see Guile and Bison talking to each other, and I immediately knew who they were. Because both of them look like their video game counterparts. Van Damme actually looks like Guile despite being a French guy. He lacks the broom haircut, but they couldn't do that. Raul Julia was awesome as Bison. Zangief was awesome too. I love the live action adaptations of Bison, Guile, Chun-Li, Zangief, Balrog, even though it was weird that he was a good guy. E Honda, E Honda and Vega and Ryu and Ken, despite being different, Kamen, they were pretty cool too. I didn't recognize them at first until they said their names, but they were awesome too. I thought this was an awesome adaptation of Street Fighter in the 90s. I think you can do way better now, but this was awesome for a cool 90s action movie. This movie was more similar to X-Men and G.I. Joe and those stereotypical action movies of the 80s and 90s than a Street Fighter film. Films like Universal Soldier, than a Street Fighter movie with of course with the tournament and the street fighting. But this right here was awesome. I thought the cast was pretty good. The stunt work and action were pretty good, even though the fight scenes were poorly edited. And just everything about this film was awesome. This film, criticized when it came out, it has a following now. It's cult status now, and yeah, it was I thought it was pretty damn good. The animated features are probably much better, but yeah, this was pretty good. Next, I don't own this one, but I've seen it several times, and that's the King of Fighters 2011 movie. Man, was this awesome, man. Man, was this awesome. This took several liberties with, of course, with the King of Fighters series. Instead of a tag team tournament featuring teams of characters in a tournament hosted by Rugal Bernstein, this movie is about normal people in everyday life putting on a Bluetooth technology and going into an alternate dimension and turning into the King of Fighters, turning into superheroes, turning into King of Fighters characters, superhuman fighters, and fighting Rugal in an alternate dimension. And Rugal wants to bridge the King of Fighters dimension and the real world together, wants to bridge the real world together, just like Shao Kahn in Mortal Kombat wants to merge both realms into one. This was a pretty good action sci-fi movie. The acting was terrible. And the film is kind of crappy. But I thought the script, the stunt work, and fighting were awesome. And it also falls under that so bad it's good category. This film was very hilarious, and I love the cast, even though they were a lot different. I love the cast, even though they were a lot different from what they were supposed to be. The only thing I don't like about the film is that it didn't have all his characters. And Mai, of course, was flat-chested. When you know in the game she has huge boobs, she has huge breasts. She was flat-chested, and of course, Terry Bogard was very different from the actor and stuntman playing him was awesome, but he was very different from the games. He was a CSI agent and more comedy relief in this film, which is one of the highlights of the film, instead of being a wandering street fighter. And of course, Kiyo Kusanagi and Iori were for the most part reminded me of themselves. I love the B-movie effects. Loved when they were fighting. It was just like the King of Fighters game. And Rugal Bernstein, Ray Park as Rugal Bernstein was probably miscast, but I'm a huge fan of Ray Park, so I went along with it. The next film, of course, is before I get to that, Fist of the North Star. The Fist of the North Star 1995 film. I love the 1986 Fist of the North Star movie. This 1995 film was a good adaptation of the first half of the manga with Shin. This was a pretty good adaptation of Fist of the North Star, even though it did take several liberties. But one thing I love about this film is that while the acting really wasn't that good, the story, stunt work, and fighting were awesome. And this film had a lot of memorable lines and cool hammy acting that I love. And the actors playing Kenshiro and Shin, the main antagonists of the film, were awesome. Kostas Mandler looks just like Shin, and Gary Daniels looks just like Kenshiro. This was an awesome film right here. Wish they could have done a sequel with Raoul, or just a reboot with better effects, with a better budget and better effects and stuff. You can do way better now. The next one is the Green Lantern animated, the Green Lantern live action film. Been a huge fan of Green Lantern since my introduction to him through the Hanna-Barbera Super Friends cartoons and the DC animated universe. I've always waited for a Green Lantern live action film. I always wanted him to have his own movie and have his own cartoon. And this movie right here, when I saw the trailers, this movie looked terrible. It looked terrible. I saw the second trailer. This second trailer at least looked good enough to watch in theaters. And when I went and watched it, this film blew me out of water. I thought this film was going to be garbage. Ryan Reynolds surprised the hell out of me in this movie. Of course, I've only seen Ryan Reynolds in 2 movies. That was Blade Trinity as Hannibal King and Wade Wilson Deadpool in X-Men Origins. And both of those he was a comedy relief in both of those. So I didn't think he could play a serious Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan is funny sometimes. He's more serious than those two characters. And Ryan Reynolds was a serious, irresponsible, but relatable hero. He was just like Hal Jordan. This film was way better than what critics and people gave it credit for. Everything a comic book movie should be. The special effects were awesome. The action sequences were awesome. I didn't think the action sequences were going to be good because Sinestro, one of the major antagonists of the Green Lanterns, was a good guy in this film, and it was Dr. Hector Hammond and Parallaxes, one of the last villains in the Green Lanterns franchise, the villains. But the action sequences and special effects were awesome, and the CGI was awesome. When I saw Kilowog, I thought that was Michael Clark Duncan in a costume. The CGI was so lifelike. It was so lifelike. I thought that was Michael Clark Duncan in a costume. That was CGI animation with Michael Clark Duncan portraying the voice. And Parallaxes was scary. He sucked people dry, like in Mortal Kombat. The next movie, of course, is the 2003 Ang Lee's Incredible Hulk. I had the DVD down here somewhere, but I didn't feel like getting it. I always wanted to see a live action Hulk movie, and I thought this was an awesome live action Hulk movie. The stunt work and action sequences were awesome. I love how Incredible Hulk was jumping halfway across the world and stuff. You know how lifelike that was, and seeing him wrestle 2 mutated dogs, and the story was good. I love how it just wasn't a mindless mash 'em up SmackDown, even though that's what I wanted from Hulk. I love how they tried something different with the Incredible Hulk character. Next franchise, of course, is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I own the Iron Man film, but it's downstairs somewhere. Iron Man film, the 2008 Iron Man film, awesome film. Robert Downey Jr. was awesome as Iron Man. The best Iron Man film. I thought two. I enjoyed 2, but that was I thought that movie was kind of terrible. I thought that movie was kind of garbage, but I did enjoy Iron Man and War Machine. That film, in my opinion, tried too hard to set up the Avengers film instead of focusing on Iron Man. Incredible Hulk, 2008, awesome reboot of the Incredible Hulk. I love the cast of the first film better, but this was an awesome film. And I love the inclusion of the Abomination, who was awesome. And I love the redesign of that character too, and the fight scenes and the badass updated CGI was awesome. The only thing I didn't like was Incredible Hulk felt limited here. It felt limited and fake here than he was in the first one, where he actually looked like a character in real life, where here he looked more video game and comic book like in the 2008 film. Next, of course, is Thor 2011 and its sequel. Both of these movies were badass. I've always loved the Thor and Loki characters, but I never really cared much about the series. I saw the trailers, and this trailer was like a pretty cool action film. This film blew me away with this awesome CGI, awesome stunt work and fighting, and awesome relatable characters and story. This film was action-packed, hilarious, and funny with a good script. And that's, in my opinion, what most movies should be. And not pretentious like most movies are today. And Thor 2 gave us more of what this film had. More action, more story, more plot in Asgard. A lot of people didn't like Thor coming to Earth. I actually love Thor coming to Earth, but they got to do more stuff in Asgard. The villain, Malik, was awesome. It was cool seeing Thor and Loki team up. Then I love the cool plot twist at the end. Man, can't wait for Thor 3. And Thor 2 redeemed the crappy Iron Man 3, which I hated. Talk about ruining the cinematic universe. Then, of course, all right, where is it? Hold on. Where is it? Where's it at? Found it. Found it. Here we go. The Avengers. The Marvel's Avengers, the greatest film of all time. What DC should have been doing. And just like the comic books, introducing us to all the characters. Captain America, which I forgot about. Captain America 1 and 2, awesome films, but I forgot about the list those. Introducing us to all the characters. Iron Man, Hulk, Captain America, Thor, all in one movie, and all of that leading, and all of those stories coming together for one gigantic film, Avengers. All I wanted was a superhero smackdown with my favorite characters. No, not only did I get that, I got a cool script, a cool in-depth story, awesome action sequences and stunt work, some of the best CGI I've seen. This is one of the best superhero movies of all time. This right here, the Avengers film, way better than I expected, exceeded my expectations. Awesome everything. Not one single thing is wrong in this movie, and actually followed the comics too. The Avengers came together because of something Loki was doing. The last two on this list are hold on, hold on, can't find it, wait, I found it, are the Blade trilogy. Man, is this trilogy awesome. One of the best vampire trilogies of all time, and one of the very first Marvel films to actually do good, to actually be popular, well received, man. But yeah, the first one with giving us the introduction to the Blade character, the closest to the comic books, even though this took several liberties with the comic books, and has Blade squaring off with Deacon Frost. Then you got the second one where Blade teams up with a group of vampires. To fight Jarko Grimwood. I think not Jarko Grimwood. I keep forgetting, but he fights this demon vampire, and I keep forgetting the names of the main antagonists of the film. But this film was awesome too, and it was cool seeing Wesley Snipes' awesome stunt work and martial arts moves. He was using wrestling moves here, like suplexes and stuff. Then of course, Blade Trinity with this film right here was action packed and hilarious. A lot of people didn't like this film, but this film was of course more lighthearted than the first two, where it was also more goofy. But I love Ryan Reynolds' Hannibal King. He was downright hilarious. And I love the cool redesign of Dracula. Best reboot of Dracula I've seen. Drake, man, he was badass, man. He was badass, and awesome fighting, awesome stunt work, and just Blade, just an awesome trilogy, man. The last series, of course, is the Tim Burton and Joel Schumacher Batman series. The Tim Burtons I have right here on tape. The first two. I love Batman '89. I love Batman Returns, even though I think Batman Returns is the weakest in the series. I think that film kind of sucks, but it's still. But I still love that film. Batman Forever, Batman and Robin. Both of these films defined my childhood, and they're even way better now than I remember them being. When I usually talk about this film, I usually defend these films because of nostalgia. They're better than that. As its own universe, the Tim Burton and Joel Schumacher Batman films are awesome. As their own Batman universe, they were awesome movies. I love Batman Forever for its inclusion of Robin. I love how in the beginning they pay homage in his first appearance. They pay homage to the animated series with Robin's updated costume. Then later they have a badass armor-like costume of what's his name. Then in Batman and Robin, I love their inclusion of 3 bad guys: Freeze, Bane, and Poison Ivy. While I hated the way Bane was portrayed, now that I've learned more about the character, I thought he was still awesome in this film. I love his origin. I love his design. His mutant-looking appearance. Freeze, Arnold Schwarzenegger as Freeze was awesome and hilarious in my opinion, just like captured the spirit of the Freeze character. And I love Robin's updated costume. First updated costume. He updated costume. He had a costume similar to Nightwing, which is cool because it represents his independence in this film. Yeah. Well, this was my favorite movies list. I'm gonna do other movies I enjoy next. Favorite martial arts films, horror films, comedy films, animated films, anime films, and CGI films, CGI animated films next. All right, Doug out. This was a long video.